Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my live. I am Tanisha Laverne Grant, multi-award winning entertainment journalist and red carpet correspondent. I am going live today. There she is. There she is, Shanti. There we go. There we go. Where is my gorgeous girl? She is coming. You guys know this chick is a
I'm so
bombshell.
sorry, you
There
guys.
she is.
Hello.
There she is. A
Hi.
bombshell. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm so
You
good.
look
How are
so
you? It's so
good.
great to see you through this. Hello.
I know, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what, Shanti? I'm
What?
good. All
You
things
good?
considered, I'm good. One day at a time. Let me see. Can you hear me? See if I go too far,
I know.
I
I'm
gotta
trying to
step
adjust
back.
too. Let me move you. There we go. Hi. It is such a loaded question to ask someone how they're doing these days. It's like you never know what answer you're going to get. But I too am feeling good today. I'm feeling positive and hopeful and celebratory. Cheers. Even though it's not five
There you
o'clock.
go. Wait a minute. I have a little drink too, my little iced tea. So cheers to you,
I love it.
to COVID, to success, to our ancestors, to love, peace, prosperity, and just adjusting. Adjusting. So for you guys who are just joining me, I have the lovely, beautiful, just triple threat actress, dancer, co-producer on her show, Bronx SIU, which she's been nominated twice back to back for Daytime Emmy, Creative Arts Emmys. And a lot of you don't know about the Creative Arts Emmys, but we'll get into that later. But it is a part of the big Emmys activation and the creative arts. They celebrate the people who are behind the scenes and people in the digital space and, people who have guest starring roles. Like Felicia Rashad has been nominated for a Daytime Emmy. Cicely Tyson has been nominated for her guest appearances on How to Get Away with Murder. And Shanti has been nominated for Best Supporting Actress in a Digital Series.
Actually, Best Lead Actress.
Oh, Best
I've been
Lead.
nominated 2 times for Best Lead Actress. Yeah.
Is it Best? Okay, okay. My apologies, Sarah. I almost had it down.
You almost nailed it. No, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I would be honored to be nominated in any category, and it does blow my mind, though, that as a woman of color, to be nominated in the Best Lead Actress category is a really big deal. It just we don't get as many opportunities to tell really great stories, and so when we do get that opportunity and we get a chance to be recognized, it means more than just winning that award or not. It means just the opportunity to showcase that we have skills and we have shows that maybe are not being seen that are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Bronx SIU, I had to stream it on the Urban Movie Channel. Um, that's how I got a chance to see it. And great work, great show. Really great
Thank you.
show. You and Brian, you guys do well together. You guys do really well together. And just, that chemistry that you guys have. I love that it is a procedural. I love that it's a woman who, gets to have that role, because she's so kick ass. She's so kick
Yeah.
ass. But before we get to like Bronx SIU, because that's like current day, I just want to go back because it's like the first time I ever saw you on screen, of course, is in the game. As Dion is what we all remember you by. You came in. People like to say, "Oh, she came out of nowhere," or "He came out of nowhere." When in actuality, you've been groomed for this career. All of your life, you've been doing what's necessary. So you
Put in
came
the
of age
work
in
and put in
Colorado.
the effort.
Yeah, you came of age in Colorado, though, right?
I
You
did.
came of age in
I was born in,
Colorado.
what's that?
I said you came of age in Colorado, correct?
I
Okay.
did, yeah. Born and raised in Boulder, Colorado. And I lived there until I moved to LA right after my 17th birthday. It was a
Wow.
very I love Colorado. Like, I'm an outdoor girl and I love to go back for that. But in all honesty, I can say this now because people are sort of having an awakening that not all experiences in this country are the same. And just being 100% real, Colorado's not for me. Like, they don't want me there most of the time. I shouldn't say, I'm being a little harsh.
You know, I was
There
going to ask.
are people there that make you feel they don't want you there, that you're not welcome, and it makes me really sad because it's a beautiful state. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what was it like coming up for you? I mean, we're in a culture now where there is this awakening. You know, well, it's an awakening for some, but for those of us who live in a Black and brown experience, I think we've always been aware of race and bias, implicit bias. What was it like, you know, coming up for you in your early years, you know, coming of age? Like, did you experience, you know, racial tension? Did you feel like, you know, you mentioned, you know, not belonging, but was it a not belonging because of, you know, the love that you had for arts and music and entertainment and you just couldn't find your tribe? Or was it because of, you know, the racial tension and just being a brown woman and trying to exist in that
You know,
space?
it was honestly everything. I went to
Oh,
a school.
wow.
Started off. First of all, Boulder is very affluent, very very wealthy, and we were not. And when I say everyone, like mostly everyone in Boulder has money. There's like 2 apartment buildings that they even have in this city because everyone's very wealthy. So being poor in a very wealthy place is already difficult, and then you add that you're also other in their mind.
Hmm.
You know, to a lot of people now, they're like, why would you experience racism? You're a light-skinned woman. Well, in Boulder, I was the only Black person these people had ever seen. And so light or dark, you're the other, and they don't want you there, and they don't like you. And then on top of that, I didn't have, you know, the cute backpack or the cute clothes, and my hair was crazy. And so I really suffered a lot. I was bullied a lot. I was beat up. I was called
Hmm.
names. We had a cross burned on our lawn.
Oh
All of
my
it.
God, Sandy. How old were
Oh
you when
yeah,
that happened?
I was very young, and I remember mostly what I remember about it was seeing the fear in my mom's eyes, and knowing how scared she was. She's a little white woman, and she was raising 2 mixed race children
Mm.
in a small town, and they would hand her pamphlets from the KKK that said, "Get rid of the children. You can still be saved." You know, so it
Wait,
was a
I'm sorry.
genuinely rough.
I'm sorry. Uh, that
Yeah.
just sent chills to my body. Did you say get rid of the children?
And you can still be saved. Yeah. They were trying to save my mother's white heart. Yeah.
How did
It's
you rec
interesting. What's that?
How did you reconcile all of, like, how did you, I'm often curious. I mean, we all go through trauma, you know, being a teenager alone, you know, you have moments of self-doubt. You're trying to find yourself, you know, I'm a city girl. And even in that, you know, I had a very strict upbringing. You know, my father, college educated, you know, my mother just very neat and clean and a very just elegant lady. And even with that, it's just like, oh, you talk white or you dress white and this, that, and the other. So to experience racism is just another added, you know, component, a dynamic. Like as I'm looking at you, you have a baby face now as a grown woman. And I'm just like, how do you, as a little girl, like, how are you processing? How are you reconciling that, Shanti?
You know, it's what made me an actor. It is 100% why I became an actor. I couldn't live comfortably in the world that society was putting me in. And so I would go into my room and I'd close the door and I would just make believe and pretend that the world was different and tell stories where maybe I would win or maybe I am not the one who's always, you know, beat up on. And it instilled like a real passion for telling stories that matter to people and telling the stories that people don't hear. You know, I'm not LGBTQ, but it matters to me as if I were, that those stories are heard, because I know what
Right.
that feels like
We all
to
need
say, why am I
allies.
not on screen? What's that?
Yeah, we all need allies. We all need allies. Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
and
So
I even love that word ally because it makes it seem like I'm doing it for you. Like, oh, look, help me.
Hmm.
And it's
That's
like, no, I'm
interesting. See,
doing this for the
I knew
world
this
I want to live.
conversation was going to be good. I knew this conversation was going to be good. Okay, back to the word ally. You're
Yeah.
not a fan of it. Why?
Because it's not about being in it for me or trying to help me, because it's not your problem. This is the world's problem. Do you want to live in a world where there's racism? Do you want to live in a world where a little child thinks that they have to kill themselves because they don't want to tell their parent that they might be LGBTQ? Like, that's crazy. I don't want to live in that world, and I'm willing to fight for it. And ever since I was a child, probably because of what I went through, I've always been ferociously on the side of the underdog, and I will
Yeah.
lay my life on the line for you. I just wish there were more people that were like that. I think we could have real change in this country if people were willing to actually stand up for what they believe, you know, really stand up.
How did you get introduced to dance?
So the one thing, we were very poor, but my mom is really smart. Like, she's actually really, really smart, but then she's also just really smart to do this. She found every free program that she could. And one of the free things that they offered in Boulder, because it's a very white community, there's a ton of after school programs for you to do. There was free dance classes offered almost every single day. And that means that she didn't have to pay for daycare. Or any, school. So she sent me to dance, and she tried to do that with other sports, but other sports involve a lot of things that you have to pay for that we couldn't afford, like uniforms and things.
Yeah.
Dance was easy. I never had the right dance shoes. They never fit me right, but that's okay. They can't kick you out of dance for that. So that's how I found dance. And honestly, that was something that saved me, because I was very athletic, and I sort of rose really quickly in dance. People really respected my ability. And so it was kind of the only thing in my life where I wasn't the person being shit on, basically. You know, I wasn't the person at the back of the bus, and I wasn't the last pick.
It became your safe space.
What's that?
Yeah. I said it became your safe space. You know, it reminds me of the story of Misty Copeland. You know, she said she came to dance much later. I know, right? I love Misty. I've had the opportunity to interview her a couple of times, and
Have you
she's just,
really?
yeah, she is such.
You have to understand, she's an idol for so many dancers, and specifically me, because I was on that same path to be a prima ballerina, and I ended up choosing not to go that way and moving to Hollywood to be an actor instead, because I was too afraid to do what Misty did, which is fight the system and sit in that chorus for years and years fighting to be a principal. And she did it. And seriously, you have to just, if you see her.
Isn't that amazing? And what's so interesting, like, she made a conscious decision. At one point, she had gotten a call from the Harlem Ballet Company, I think, the director from the Harlem Ballet. And she said, you know what? I'm going to stay, with the New York City Ballet, and I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight.
For everyone else.
And she did it. So I love hearing these types of stories where, there's a safe place. Like, what was that safe place that you had, coming of age when you were dealing with, race and dealing with bullies and just trying to find your own beautiful young voice and, to maintain your space where you have to, succeed academically. You have to be able to succeed in your little social networking space, in junior high school and high school. And so for you, it was dance. When did theater come into play? Was that a part of the after school curriculum, or was that later?
It's funny. My mom tells everyone that she knew I wanted to be an actor from the time I could talk, because I was always acting and telling stories and creating and wait, watch me.
I mean, not to cut you off, but I gotta say, Shanti, you own every character, every role. I don't care how big, how small, you own it. I mean, the first time I saw you walk onto the screen as Dion, I was like, who is she? Like, who is she?
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you.
And do a little bit of a scene stealer, but not on purpose. Not on purpose, but because you are ready. You're ready to work. You're ready to work.
That is true. It's so nice to hear that, because I just love what I do. Like, genuinely, if you see me on set, you see me this, it's not fake. I love it. And you know
Yeah.
what, because I come from Colorado, and not like you were asking me, was theater part of after school? No, I wanted to act so badly, and there was just no opportunities for me. So every time that I'm on set, I look around and I remember like that 10-year-old Shanti would just be so excited right now. And so I'm not going to take it for granted. You know, I don't know if they're going to hire me for another part. Like, I hope so. But every single time you're working, it might be your last opportunity to live that dream. And so, you know, I really don't take it for granted. But I'm going to tell you, so
Yeah,
growing up,
you give it 100%.
I
Hold on
just wanted to do
one
it.
second, my love, because
And
we got to get caught up there. 1 second. Uh-oh. Hold up. I think we're good. Okay. It does that little twirly thing, this little circly thing. It's delayed, but we're good now.
yeah.
You
Do you
know,
think you're
so
supposed to move somewhere?
no, I think we're good. We've been going now for like 10 or 15 minutes, so hopefully it won't do it again. The lives are like that. It's like the internet connection. You know, everybody's on. Everybody's on
Yeah.
IG. Everybody's on IG Live. It's the way that we're living now. And
Especially
so,
because it's like it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday on a holiday, so it's probably especially bad today.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, so I want to, talk about again, theater and your acting because again, like I said, when I saw you hit the screen in the game, executive produced by Mara Brock Akil, a wonderful cast there. But like I said, I mean, you own that role. And I interview a lot of actors and writers, producers, directors, and I listen to them and I'll hear, an actress say, oh, well, I should be bigger or I should have been more. And I'm like, whatever gave you that idea if you're not putting in the work, my love?
Yeah.
Like, whatever gave you that idea? I'm like, there are people that they put in movies, and then there are people who have earned their place in these movies and on these television shows, and you have definitely earned your place. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go on record saying that, especially, being beautiful and, being a woman of a specific hue, there's always this conversation, oh, well, lighter skinned women get the bigger opportunities, just because of the way they look. But I just want to go on record and say, like, you are worth your weight in salt, as an actress, you know what I mean? So getting to that space. So there's a dancing. We know that your mom did the after school. Who did you
Yeah.
study with? You got to LA at 17?
Yeah.
That's
I
super
graduated
young.
early. Yeah, I graduated at 16, and my mom and I actually both felt like I was too young to move out, even though I had a degree. And I didn't want to go. So it's interesting, actually, you mentioned Harlem Ballet. I was going to go to Alvin Ailey, which is there's kind of two black ballet companies, and then there's the rest of the white companies. And I
What
was
was the name
accepted
of
to
your
Alvin
ballet
Ailey.
company?
What's that?
What was the name of the ballet company you mentioned? I didn't hear it.
Alvin Ailey. It's
Oh,
amazing.
Ailey. Oh,
Yeah.
hell
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, I had this opportunity to go to Ailey or go to college, or I wanted to pursue acting. And so I moved to LA. And I'm sorry, wait, what was your question? You were asking me something specific.
I was asking, where did you study? Like, we know you took dance, you were in the after school program.
Yeah.
So once you got to Los Angeles, who did you study with? I mean, a lot of people, I know when I came to LA in the late 90s, I was studying with Bobby Chance. Who else did I study with? I studied with Chip Fields at the West Angeles Performing Arts Center.
Yes.
Who else did I study with? Oh, I even took a class with, oh my goodness. I think I took a class with Robbie Reed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I took a class with quite a few people, but I had actually studied RTF, radio, television, film, and theater acting in undergrad. But I'm interested because
Wow.
training is so important. Training is
It
so
really is.
important. So I'm interested, like, who did you train with when you first got here?
So I was going to tell you, I did a play for like 3 months in Colorado, and it was an all adult play. It wasn't a kid's play, and I had sort of weaseled my way into it. It's kind of a long story, but so I had ended up meeting a bunch of theater kids who had been in theater forever. And so they gave me a lot of books to read because I couldn't afford classes, and there was really nothing else that I could do. So I went to the library and I was constantly reading books about acting. And when I finally moved to LA, it was to pursue dance. I had a dance agent, but I knew what I was saying is I could have gone and done Alvin Ailey, or I could have gone to college, but I chose to go to LA because I knew that through the dance agent I had, I would be able to transition into acting stuff. The minute that I landed, I got myself in every dance class I could and in every acting class I could. And I ended up studying with Milton Katselas at Beverly Hills Playhouse for about a year.
Okay.
It was very formative. I did very little acting. It was a lot about, I learned a lot through just listening and watching other people, but I think what it taught me more than anything was that acting and performing is a right, that you have to work hard and do your homework in order to. And a lot of people don't like that. They like to go to an acting class where you jump right in and work. And I prefer that now. But I think what I needed at 17 was to understand that just because I have a great idea for this character and I think I'm going to be great, that's not enough. You have to sit down, you have to do the homework, you have to put the hours in, and then you get the opportunity to do these lines. You know, that's the reward, is what it taught me. And then I ended up studying with Bill Howie, who was great because he was the exact opposite. Every week you get up with work that you've been scenes you've had, but you've never met your scene partner. I mean, you've met them, but you've never worked with your scene partner, and you just do it. And then you get feedback, and then you just do it again. And so it's like the exact opposite. You don't have to do any homework if you don't want to, and you don't have to put the energy in, but you will start to see that your scene is better or worse depending on how much of the homework you did. So,
Gotcha.
I like both.
I like that method. I like that. You know, do you remember like what resonated with you the first time you stepped on a professional Hollywood set, you know, as an actress? And you know, I mean, there's this, you know, I've been on the sound stages at Sony Studios, CBS Radford, Warner Brothers, you know, walking to a trailer. There's this feeling that you have where you're like, oh my God, like I'm here and I'm doing this. Like I'm in my dream. Like this is unbelievable. Like, do you remember what that moment was
for you? Couldn't say it any better. No,
huh?
that's exactly. You walk on, and you know, I think more than the sound stages, it's the Hollywood sign itself that gets that feeling in me, because I didn't really dream of what the sound stages would look like. It just didn't enter my thought. But I always saw that Hollywood sign, and that was like, if I can live under that Hollywood sign, it means that I'm living in my dream world, you know? And so I still, when I drive by the Hollywood sign, just my heart's like, you did it, you know? It feels like exactly that. Like I didn't give up and I pursued what I wanted, and you know, win or lose, I'm here.
When you have, not when, but let me just ask, do you have moments where you come to the canvas and you feel a little tapped out, like you just don't have anything? And if you do, how do you rejuvenate? How do you replenish and recharge?
I actually have, this is very real. People who follow me on social media know that I'm honest, even maybe when I shouldn't be. I had a very real, very difficult moment on the game, actually. I was shooting a scene, and I just, like you said, I just have no idea why. I didn't feel connected to it, and I also didn't feel connected to the emotions that it needed, which were vulnerability and sadness and anger and all sorts of things. Like I wasn't any of those that day at all. And no matter what I did, it was fake. And it was, you know, there's nothing worse than being on set. And for me, feeling like you're acting, you know, like, cause you know, when you first get the script, you're acting, and then you're trying to remember the lines and you're still acting. But at some point you're just there. You're just listening. You're
yeah.
talking. Yeah. And I just could not get this scene. I was 100% acting, and it was killing me. I was acting like I was tired. I was acting like I was upset, and I was acting like I was going to cry. And I was just, I removed myself from the set, and I was pacing up and down, and I was like talking to myself, and I was so frustrated. And I finally remembered what one of my acting coaches told me, which was never fake anything. If you're not there, find a different way to play the scene. So, you know, I just had to change it. And I couldn't be vulnerable, and I couldn't be angry. I couldn't be any of the things that I had planned on being for the scene. And then eventually I saw the scene and I really didn't like it, but at least I was honest. You know, I didn't fake the emotion. And so what I did after that, because that moment bothered me, the fact that I felt unprepared to do my job, I started working on being able to have many different ways to access my emotions, not just one, not just, you know, sense memory or recall or you know, all these little things that we learn in acting class. I didn't just want to have one, I wanted to have a bunch. And I spent maybe the next year really working on being able to go really deep like that whenever I wanted and being able to understand where that was coming from.
And that's why it's a craft. That's why it's a craft. That's why acting is a craft. And there's a difference of, yeah, it's a big difference when I'm watching a true artisan, you know, of the craft, and just people who are like, oh, you know, I look a certain way and I'm entitled and yeah, I'm in this movie and yeah, I'm on the show. And then like you're 50 something years old on the internet talking about, you know, you should be bigger. You should have been like, girl, bye. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I run into that a lot because I am a really hard worker on set. It's really frustrating to see people that are continuously working and they actually make it harder to succeed at your job. Like they're not there to help make the scene great. They're there to make themselves look great. And you have to try and make the scene work with them. There's nothing more frustrating than that. And I'm not going to name names because I'm not that kind of person. But I work with people like that. And it's genuinely difficult. And the crazy thing is they ruin scenes for other people because they intimidate people so much that they get into their mood. And then the person they're working with is awful. And then the problem with that is the scene in itself is not going to be good in the end. Even if you look okay, the scene's not. So, you know, it matters. It matters how you treat people.
Yeah, it does. It's collective work. It's collective work and responsibility. Ujima, which is a principle of Kwanzaa. But
well, speaking of collective work, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but as a collective, Bronx SIU just last night won Best Ensemble for the Independence, the ISA Awards.
International Film Awards? IFA. I forget what that, which.
ISA, what? I think it's the Spirit, Independent Spirit Awards.
Oh, Independent. Oh my God, Independent Spirit, yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. I covered the red carpet for the Independent Spirit Awards earlier this year. Yeah, pre-COVID. You know, life was still good.
That's the film Independent Spirit Awards. This is for independent TV series. Oh, in fact, I think it's called the Independent Series Awards. That's what it is.
Whatever it is, we are happy for it. Congratulations. It's definitely well-deserved. I mean, you guys do an amazing job. You guys do an amazing job. You, Brian White, Denise Bouquet. I'm like, look at them go.
What a cast, right?
Look at them go. You know, and Brian's been around for a while, so it's really good to see him just go out of different spaces from film to television to theater. Do you have a favorite space, a favorite like medium to act? Is it film? Is it television? Like, is it theater?
I would have said film. You know, theater is not my favorite because I love the rehearsal process, but I don't like to do the same thing every single night. You know, I could do a short show, but like a long run is just not for me. Film and TV are close. It really depends on which project I'm doing because like when we shoot Bronx SIU, we basically shoot it as a film. We go out for like, you know, a month and a half or 2 months total and you're all together and, you know, my family comes and we have a whole house in New York together and it's kind of like
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's a really great looking procedural show, I gotta say. It really captures the heart and the essence of New York and the Bronx and, you know, just to see like in some of the shots, the exteriors and the BQE and, you know, just the whole weight and texture of it. It's a really great production. You guys should really be proud of yourselves. I hope, you know, there will be more awards to come, you know, and I really do. I mean, I don't know what COVID is going to do in terms of, you know, has there been any conversation about you guys going back into production or like, what does that look like?
No one's told me I'm not allowed to say that. they have to know. If they don't want me to say anything, they have to tell me not to say anything. We have an opportunity. So I love what you said about Bronx and shooting. We actually shoot most of it in Brooklyn and Queens just because it's easier permitting wise.
Right.
But we
Well, there's
love,
Silver Cup Studios too there, right? Do you guys shoot on Silver Cup at all?
we don't
Yes.
shoot on any studio. No, we shoot
Oh,
all
this is
live from
all.
full of, it's
What?
crazy. Yeah. Yeah. It is
What?
insane.
I
I have
love
my own
it.
house, and every day I leave my house in New York and I go to like some random location, and that's where we are for the day. I mean, it's really like it's a fun experience. But as much as we love New York, and we really do, we have an opportunity to take SIU season 3 to, drum roll, South Africa. And we're going to do it. We're going to take
What?
SIU, right? I mean, how can you say no? So season 3 should be, it's in the works. It's not, we don't have a start date yet, but season 3 should be coming soon, and it should be in South Africa, which is just like
That's
beyond exciting. I've
amazing.
never been to Africa.
That's amazing. There's so much happening globally. You gotta widen the net. Switch your way of thinking. I mean, South Africa, I've never been, but I do a lot of stuff with Arise 360 TV, which airs in
Yes.
500 companies in Africa. Yeah, so I come on there as well. So that's awesome that you're going to be there shooting.
Oh my
Um,
God. I've always
yeah,
wanted to
so
go, and go to film is like so special because we'll get to really, you know, really be part of the country and see all these different places. Because you go for, like a whole month at least. So very special. And that's another perk of my job that I just don't understand why people don't, put all the time and energy and work in when these are the perks of the job. It's so special to get to do this.
now, Bronx SIU, we talked about how you've been nominated for an Emmy twice, back to back. Congratulations. That's absolutely amazing. Your character, Yolanda, she's a lot. She's
Yeah.
she's dealing with a lot. I mean, like, what do you do to stay in that place because she has that dark corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She has
Yeah.
that very dark corner. I don't want to give anything away about the show, any spoilers, but you guys, you gotta watch the show. I mean, that
It
first
doesn't do
episode,
a lot.
go on, girl, go and be great. Go and be
Yeah.
great. Go and be
Yeah.
you just you own your sexuality, you own your femininity, you own your power, your character. Yolanda, she owns all of that, but she's also conflicted, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's just talk about like Yolanda and how you prepare to exist in her.
Gosh, it was a big process because Yolanda is very complex, because there are aspects of her that are very close to my personality and then many aspects that are completely different. I really had to take time to figure out who she was. And I wanted to be real with her too, because there are so few really complex female characters that she deserved to be whole. So I sat down many times, not once, many, many times with our writer director. And we just talked. And I mean, they were passionate conversations. It wasn't an argument. It was just like, she needs more. We need more depth. We need to talk about why she's here. Why is she a badass? Why is she sexy? Let's not just have a woman on screen shooting or a woman on screen in her bra. Let's have some reasons behind them. And in the
Yeah.
beginning, it was kind of rough trying to find those. And then one night, the writer director Mike and I just sat down, and it all came together. And after that, it was so easy. It was a bunch of work, just he and I, because I really do think I'm creating her, but he also is creating her. If he sees a different version and he writes it differently, I'm going to be struggling the entire season, 2 seasons, trying to make my version fit into his version. And so when we finally both found her together after many deep conversations, it was easy. But what that entailed was understanding why she is the way she is. Why is she extremely violent and angry sometimes, yet also why is she so compassionate and understanding to underdogs? Very similar to
Yeah.
me. I'm not violent and angry, but if you hurt someone that I love, I'm a mama bear. Like, wow, I switch. But if you are hurting someone who is helpless, I'm not going to be okay with that either. And so
Yeah.
we just had to find those reasons. And it was like what I was saying before. It was homework. It was a lot of just, okay, she did this. Why? Where does this come from? Where does this behavior, where did she learn this? And after, it's so fun to play her now because I feel a freedom to express all of these really crazy, weird things because I know where they come from with her.
I mean, what's awesome is that you get to be a part of the character development. You're a co-producer. So how did that happen, girl? Like, not a lot of
Right?
actors come in as like co-producer. How did you negotiate that?
It was amazing. I did a movie called Lucky Girl, I believe. Fun movie.
Okay.
I was just sort of like a friend in it. We shot for maybe 3 weeks. And the executive producer was only on set for a couple of days. And I only said hello maybe once. And then 2 or 3 years later, he sent me this script and said, I've been thinking of this character. I wrote it for you. Tell me what you think. And so because it was that opening, I was able to, give the feedback and say, I love this, but can I adjust this and can I be a part of the development? And so that's how it happened. I just had to ask. But also I got really lucky that he created this part for me, which was a first. It was the first time in my career that that's happened.
I mean, but that speaks to what I was saying earlier, about how you move and your experience as an actress, as a thespian, as someone who was dedicated to the artisanship of acting. That does not get wasted on anybody. Like, to see you and to see you working, even if it's a small role. I mean, you have this face and you kind of move it like, Felicia Rashad and Viola Davis, like them just sitting is acting, just the very, oh my God, Candy Alexander, just swallowing. What episode was that? Oh my God, I can't even remember what episode of that she was on, of like not How to Get Away with Murder, but Kerry Washington's show Scandal.
Yeah, Scandal.
And she's like sipping tea. Huh?
Brian was also on Scandal. Brian's been everywhere. Brian is such a teacher. He really has been around.
I love him. I mean, he's another one. He works that face too, without saying anything. Your whole body is your instrument. Your whole body is your instrument. So going forward, where you're on a cop show, you play a cop. In this natural experience, we're in Black Lives Matter. We're always in Black Lives Matter. Black men and women are marginalized, getting shot down. We're in the middle of what I hope to see is the beginning of change. There's this uprising that is happening. Do you think that, Bronx SIU will address any of those issues? Like, hi, people are starting to say hello to us. Hello, Erin. Thank you so much for joining. How are you guys trying to, someone saying Harlem? Yes, I miss Harlem. I'm still homesick, but still excited to be in LA. So talking about like Black Lives Matter, I know a couple of the episodes, there was like, sex, what do you call it? There's prostitution, there's in the I think it's the second episode in the first season, there's this young boy and, he's trying to, navigate his own way, and he has a special relationship with one of the cops. So like how do you guys, or is there a plan to address, a lot of things that are happening now in the future episodes or future seasons?
Yeah, Brian White and I are very blessed to work with someone like Mike Mayhall and Dan Garcia, because they do listen to our opinions and allow us to give them ideas. And both Brian and I are very passionate about telling a story that has to do with this movement. It's also really, it's an interesting place to be playing a police officer. I'm pretty active in the defund the police movement. My perspective is that they are way overfunded and over militarized, and there's a lot of other places that money could go.
I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people don't know what defund the police. you know, you're on the front lines of this. You're very active, you know, with defund the police. Let's talk about what that means, because a lot of people still don't know what that means. You know, this is the first time that we're really hearing it, honestly, in the conversation, in the bigger narrative of, you know, police brutality and, you know, Black Lives Matter is defund the police. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I think the important thing to understand is it is a fluid and active movement, and there are a lot of people who are going to say that they disagree with what I'm saying. You have to decide what it means for you. My position on defund the police is that here in LA, we spend over 50% of our budget on the police. That's crazy. We have
Did you say 55%?
Yeah, I think it's actually 52% or something like that, but it's over 50%. Ooh. And kids don't have textbooks. Kids don't have nurses and in schools. I mean, I remember they took out music, PE, art, everything out of school, but they still have cops and they pay them overtime. And the thing is that you also have like 40 kids in a classroom. Well, because it seems like there's too many, instead of hiring a new teacher, they hire a cop to police it. And then that cop is allowed to write names on a gang registry. So you have a really bad situation, and I'm just talking about schools. You go to, you know, parks and public transit and fixing the roads and building community centers. You know, we talked about Boulder, Colorado. I was able to go to one of 3 different rec centers and take classes for free. That does not exist in neighborhoods for people who look like me generally. These are things that would keep kids out of trouble, that you wouldn't have to have gang registries. People had places to go. So the idea with defund the police is, let's take a look at what we're spending our money on. If we're only spending 1% of our money on community organizing and 50 on police, that doesn't seem right. So in my opinion, we need to reassess all the different jobs that the police do, because for the most part, they don't do them well. They are very singly trained to answer any issue with violence. That's not to say we don't ever need that, but we don't need that very often. You know, there's not many problems that we need someone to answer with a gun and, you know, shut up. That's not the answer. We need usually to talk about things.
So, I mean, it's historic. It's historic. It's historic. I mean, today we're celebrating Juneteenth. You know, I know, right? Bro, cheers. Cheers to the ancestors who paved the way for us, you know. You know, Black Lives Matter, you know, police brutality. We just watched George Floyd. I mean, just the image.
Did you watch it?
I did. I did watch it. It took me a while. You know, processing this pain, it's a lot, because the media just every day, all day, every day, all day, Black pain, hangings, lynchings, beatings, robbings, rapes, you know, disenfranchisement. It's so much. It's so much. And so I really try and monitor my media diet. I was trying so hard, just for my own sense and sensibilities, to not watch it, but I had to watch it. I had to watch it. And then also,
I feel like I have to watch every minute of those videos. Every video that comes out, I don't want to watch it. I'd rather go about my day, but for some reason, I feel like I must sit and watch the suffering and really look at it.
You have to.
I don't know why. I torture myself.
Yeah. As much as I try not to, I do it anyway, because I want to be able to not only, I mean, pain is a part of this Black experience. You know what I mean? Like, I feel the pain of my ancestors. It's, you know, and it's to, you know, live so healthy in such a way that I don't always feel that pain. You know, it's like my cellular DNA recalls all of that my ancestors went through on the plantations, you know, everything that women went through without having their husbands because they were ripped from them, their babies were ripped from them. You know, my cellular DNA recalls all of that. So it's like I don't have to see it to know it, to feel it, because it is a part of my DNA. but
Yeah.
watching that, and then learning that two of the police officers had only been on the force. One was like 1 week, and then the other one had only been on the force for a
I think
couple of
4 days.
days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, how
It's
is
pretty
this
shocking.
happening? Go ahead.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know some people look at that and say that proves that, they weren't malicious. But I think what that proves more than anything is Derek Chauvin, the officer with his knee actually on George Floyd's neck, had like 17 complaints over, 20 years or something about this man. And so what they did after hearing all these complaints, they made him a training officer. He was there training those two people who hadn't been on the force for more than a week. So that is not a reason to feel bad for them. I think that's a reason to look at the police department and say, there's some real problems. You knew.
Yeah.
They even say people in the
Minnesota
PD said
historically,
Derek was a bad
Minnesota
cop.
historically has been notorious for police misconduct, police brutality. I mean, Philando Castile, what happened to him just a few years prior,
And his
that
baby
was
in the
another
back
one.
seat watching the whole time is
That
horrific.
haunted me. That haunted me. That haunted me. And then as a film journalist, as an entertainment journalist, we're required to watch these movies, that are also about Black pain. So I'm watching it in film, and then I'm also watching it in real time. And it's just a lot to reconcile. How do you encourage people, Shanti, to get involved and stay involved and to keep the momentum without being angry? Because
I
I
don't know.
think,
I don't know if I figured that out. Go ahead.
yeah, because it's like, I think, there's this criticism amongst the Black community where it's like we forgive and forget so easily.
Yeah.
We
Because we have to
forgive,
survive. That's the thing, is but people don't understand. There's so much judgment of the Black community that drives me absolutely bonkers. Like the young men who are out there really angry, breaking things and rioting and burning things. I am not condoning it. I don't think they should be doing it. I'm not doing it. But I understand it. I understand when you're so angry and nobody's listening. So I don't judge them. That's all I'm saying. There's just a lot of judgment out there for all these different people and the way that they're dealing with things. And there are a lot of people that are very angry, and I think they have a right to be
rightfully
angry.
so,
Let them be angry.
rightfully so.
There's just nothing wrong in this movement. Everybody's got to have a chance to have this time to say, yo, what's been going on is not okay. We've been telling you it's not okay. You've been ignoring us, and now you want to pretend that you just realized this. We have to take some time to process, give us a second. Now that's my opinion. And I am personally in the last, since it happened, I've been pretty angry. And even in moments of positivity and hopefulness, I still feel like this flame of like, I can't believe it took this. And every day we see another one and you didn't
Yep.
know. It's just shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take, and I'm almost afraid.
Yes, one of these comments, sorry, that's absolutely true. They had him train rookies because that's how they wanted him to train them to be.
Yeah.
Hard on the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I'm like I said, I'm almost afraid for what's yet to come. I'm hopeful. I'm glad that this is all happening. It needed to happen. But if real change does not happen swiftly, something is, I don't even want to think about what's going to happen. I want to go back to, your acting career, Bronx SIU. Do you have a dream role? Like, what's the dream role for you that you would like, is there a character, is there a real life person, living or dead that you would like to portray? And it doesn't have to be like a big icon. It could be like,
Well,
what? My great teacher was amazing.
No, I actually do have a big icon that I've been dying to play. I would love to play Lena Horne. I would love it. That woman.
Oh.
Like, when we talk about what's going on with history, the fact that people don't know Lena Horne's history, that they don't know what she did for this country, that they don't know who she is like, there's just so many beautiful Black people who've done incredible things that we don't know about. And it's certainly Black women. So Lena Horne, oh my gosh, if somebody writes something, a movie about Lena, I will play anything in it. I will do anything in it. I just want to be a part of it. That's a dream.
That's amazing. Lena Horne, along with Ruby Dee and Ozzie Davis and Eartha Kitt, you know, Harry
Yes.
Belafonte, Paul Robeson, they were some major activists. They were major
Yes.
activists.
Yes.
It's so crazy because I did a conversation a couple weeks on Arise in Nigeria, and they were asking me what were my thoughts about celebrities, you know, being called out on not being active enough. And I'm just like, you know, activism, there are many components to activism, right? Just because you don't see someone on the front line out and marching doesn't mean that they're not being active in activism. You know, doesn't mean that they're not being part of a movement. You know, we're talking about Don Lemon, you know, calling out Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. You know, what were your thoughts about that? Do you think he was
Do you know what's funny? I was watching
well
that
within
live.
his word? Like, I'm just
I
curious,
was watching
Shanti.
that live, and he was just angry, like what I'm talking about. He was like, how did we get here? How did we get here and have white people actually say that they didn't know this was happening? Like, we need to get the loud Black voices, the voices that people actually listen to, out, and they need to say, this is what's happening. I completely understood where he was coming from, but I also, you know, I do understand that there's different ways to be an activist. And that Oprah gives so much money and has done so much for the Black community. Like, truly, just being a voice of reason to white people, that's huge, because right there, they're listening to a Black person. It's not the first time that a Black person has given them advice. Just her on that show was great.
Yeah.
I just happen to believe that we are at a moment where it doesn't really matter what you've done in the past or how much you've been vocal about anything. It's now. We're doing this now. People are out getting beat up by cops, getting rubber bullets shot at them for this right to have this movement actually go. And I'm sort of with Dawn. I'm sort of over celebrities dying to keep their racist fans, because that's what it is at this point. If you can't say Black Lives Matter, what are you talking about? Are you serious? No one said we've been through all of this. No one said that only Black Lives Matter. If you can't say Black Lives Matter, you are a hateful person inside and you've got some wrong views. And so there are a lot of celebrities that are very afraid of losing those fans. And I'm just not one of them. I just think
people don't want to compromise their brands.
I'm sorry. Like, I get it. There's a time and place, but this is the time to be all in and to say what you feel, and not just do it with money. You know, some people are like, what is social media? Why does it matter if I post something on social media? It matters because you're telling all of your fans, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what I accept, and unfollow me if you're interested. So I kind of think they're changing.
I mean, social media is where it is. Social media is a news feed. Social media is a news feed. You know, like point blank, bottom line.
Social media now, so you got to get yourself out there.
Yeah, like that's it. You know, Shanti, there was something else that I wanted to mention, but I'm having a mind flub here. Before we wrap up, you know, is there anything that you want to talk to the audience about? We talked about your Emmy nominations. We know that you're an amazing actress, you know, and just an overall, you guys, I just want to say she is just a wonderful overall human being. I had the pleasure of interviewing her last year when I was a guest co-host for about 3 months on Black Hollywood Live, The Trend. So I want to shout out, you know, my co-host and my media husband. I call him Dario Christian. And Shanti was on, and she was just so wonderful, you know. So, you know, we interview all these celebrities. She is as she is presenting right now. And I just want to say that, you know, and if you ever see her and she doesn't speak, she didn't see you, or she just is in a zone. She's not mean or rude or anything like that. For when we get back outside, you know, she is a human being. Celebrities are human beings. Guys, they are human beings. You know, so we talked about that. We talked about Bronx SIU. I'm sorry, I have the sniffles here. I know there was something that you mentioned you wanted to discuss, and I think it was about you have a dance initiative, was it?
Oh, I created a dance dance TV show, actually. So most of the end of last year was spent on truly the hardest project that I've ever done in my whole life. And I'm not afraid of hard work. I like taking things on, but oh my goodness, I created, wrote, directed, produced, starred in, and choreographed a dance sitcom, and I love it. It's really good. It's funny. It's heartwarming. I think you root for the characters, and then you get a really awesome dance scene in every episode. So that's kind of the premise of the show.
love that.
Right? I spent so many years dancing, and I've done every style of dance. I was a professional dancer for a long time. Like, I danced with NSYNC and Earth, Wind, and Fire and P. Diddy, actually.
Wow. Wow,
so
that is amazing.
Right? I've done a lot of things, and I just thought we should have a show where I get to show all the different styles of dance that there are out there, because dance is a great expression, and it's not just hip hop or ballet. There's so much in between. So, hopefully we get to do a lot of episodes, and I get to show everybody how much dance there is from all different cultures.
That's awesome. So in the spirit of Juneteenth, I want to get what your thoughts are about Juneteenth, but share with the audience, something you love and admire about Lena Horne before we go.
She wasn't willing to compromise. She wanted to be an actress, but she wanted to be known as a great actress, not a great Black actress. She wasn't willing to compromise anything about who she was and her talent for your insecurity. And she made it. She recorded songs that we still sing today, and people don't even know her name. She was great and beautiful and powerful, and she stood up for what was right. And I love her. I think she's incredible.
I love that. And what about Juneteenth? Like, what does Juneteenth mean to you today? This is the first time, it's an official holiday. People are actually off from work virtually. They don't have to clock in from their, desktop, iPads, all that good stuff. Today is a holiday, Juneteenth.
Well, so what does it mean? I think it's so perfect that it's happening in this moment with everything so heated up, right? I think it's wonderful that for the first time, African Americans can celebrate Juneteenth with their brothers and sisters of other colors and really talk about it, because it's not that Juneteenth hasn't existed before, it's that it's a private holiday, right? It's something that Black people enjoy. And as I said before, that's nonsense. Why is it a Black holiday? It's the day that the United States of America finally lived up to its Constitution and actually freed everyone. That's a celebration for everybody. So I'm really happy that I feel like this should be like a new anniversary for Juneteenth. It's the time when everybody realized that this is something we should all celebrate. And I'm enjoying my glass of something red. I don't know if you guys know this tradition, but you should drink something red to remember the blood spilled.
The blood.
Fight for freedom.
The blood.
It should be the biggest holiday from now on, because it's bringing us together and making us actually take a look at where we're going in the future. That's huge.
Shanti Laurie, you're an amazing talent. You're a beautiful human being. I'm so glad that I've had the opportunity to chat with you this afternoon. We got to do it again, just check in on one another. That's the one thing I love about these lives, and as a journalist, it's like we have to create other spaces, for work. So I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to really connect in this way. I'm excited to see, what is going to happen with your career down the future. I mean, you're still so very, very young, and there's so much left. I mean, you look at like Cicely Tyson and Felicia Rashad, who just turned like 70 something yesterday. Like, you're in your 30s, girl. You haven't even begun. You're just starting to scratch like the surface. You're just starting to scratch the surface. So
that is the best compliment I could hear. Because in Hollywood, you're like old, way before you're old. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the patriarch. That's the subjugation. And we're fighting that too.
Right now, we're just talking about Black Lives Matter. Don't even get us started on Black female lives and what that's, like, wow. That's a whole
You know
nother
what?
thing
That
about
could be another conversation. We can do a whole nother conversation about that. I would like that. I
I
have
would
20 seconds. Again, just want to say thank you. Hopefully, I'll be able to download this and send you a copy through our link. Thank you so much for your time and happy Juneteenth. Bye
thank you.
bye. Bye,
You're
guys.
wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for